Well, it is noon on Sunday and it's time for PCT Chat. Once again, it's just me here. But I thought it'd be kind of fun because I just hiked from Lake Morena to Mount Laguna. So I think it was about 20 something miles. It took 4 days, well, 3.5 days. Uh, kind of 3 full days of hiking and then a few hours on the fourth day. And a full day of hiking for me ended, I would say, around 3 p.m., like maybe 7:30 or so to about 3 p.m. And that also included nap time because I need a nap. I can, my friend will tell you that I was hiking with, I can lay down in the dirt and be asleep in 2 minutes. And then I wake up in 20 minutes or so and I feel great and I can keep going because I'll tell you, this was not, it wasn't, it wasn't a crazy hard hike, but it was pretty much mostly uphill. And the uphill was not nice for the most part, smooth, sandy trail. It was like rocky with all those little rocks. So you have to, and bigger rocks, you kind of have to be careful on there so you don't turn your ankle. I also brought my dog, my little dog Speck. She's I'd show her to you, but she's sleeping in the bay window in the sun. So that was fun. I'm gonna have to figure out how to put pictures up because you know what? I'll put them in the on Facebook. But I got some nice shots. It was the peak of the meteor shower. I can't remember which one on Wednesday night, and I, of course, passed out as soon as I laid down. I think it was 4 p.m. But it gets dark early too. So, and it gets cold when it gets dark. So, I kept trying to wake up and look for shooting stars because that's my favorite. I always cowboy camp if I can. I just got a new used um duplex. I think it's a Z-Pax. I think that's what it is. Duplex from my best hiking buddy Allie. Um, and I brought it and I didn't even use it. And my friend was like, he has the same tent. He's like, it's a great tent. I'll help you put it up. I was like, it's not, I said, I can figure out how to put it up. I just like sleeping outside. I really do. I like being able to see the sky and the stars. So I do tend to wake up a little bit more. I don't sleep all the way through the night when I'm hiking and sleeping outdoors. I think, you're sleeping you're not in your bed. So it's a little bit of an adjustment. But I woke up at about 4 a.m. and I managed to stay awake. And like in 10 minutes, I saw 10 shooting stars. So that was really cool. That's my favorite. That's my favorite part about being out in the out. I guess it's the outback. I don't know. Because in San Diego, I can see stars from my backyard. And I make a point, I go out every night because the reason the star is the logo for my nonprofit is because my daughter, Kimmy, when she got cancer, she said, Mommy, when I die, I'll be the first star you see at night. Because we were looking out the window at the hospital when she first got sick. So I go out every night and I say hello and we talk about my day. And I always the brightest star in the sky, and that's Kimmy. So anyway, we had a nice time out there, and I know she'd just be thrilled. I wasn't into backpacking at all when she was little. We did camping. We did a lot of camping. Nothing car camping, but she loved camping. And I'll just tell a little story because I can. We we used to go to this little campground in Mission Trails, which is a really huge park area, trails, Mission Trails, uh, sort of in the suburb of San Diego. Part of it, I think, is in the city of San Diego, but it's huge, so fun. And there was a campground there, and we would go there, and we'd like on a usually Saturday, we'd set up our tent, and then we would go into the town of Santee, which is right next door, and we'd have dinner. And then we'd like to go to the drive-in, which is closing. So sad. So we'd go to the drive-in, and she always wanted to watch both movies. I would always fall asleep after the first one, but she would stay awake. And then we'd drive back to the campground. Well, I guess I didn't realize, I don't know, the timing of the drive-in changes because of the time of year, right? If it's the winter, it starts earlier, and in the summer, it has to start later because they have to wait for it to get dark. So anyway, I think we got to the campground like after maybe 11, and the campground was closed. The gate was closed and you couldn't go in. And I said, "Oh, Kimmy, I'm sorry. But we live like maybe 20 minutes away. So we'll go home and then we'll come back tomorrow." And she pitched a fit in the back seat. Yes, American Kingdom. So I made a U-turn. I was already driving home. I made a U-turn and I drove back to the campground, and I evaluated the situation, and I saw that we could climb over this just a little fence, like what they have in a parking lot, those metal bar things, and we could get in the campground that way. So then there was a place to park the car. So I parked the car and we climbed over the little fence and we camped in the campground, and I made my daughter happy. And so those are camping. Those are just some of my favorite memories of being with Kimmy, and she just really liked the outdoors. And I really wish we could have started backpacking. I think she would have really enjoyed it. And start crying. Yeah. So and then in the morning we'd go to church, and then we'd go back to the campground and hang out and hike around and stuff. So it was just a really easy way to go camping. Didn't have to be a big deal. If you forgot something, it was easy to get a can opener or whatever. So we didn't even bring a lot of food because we'd go out to dinner. So yeah, it wasn't true camping. Maybe it's city camping, quasi camping. I don't know what you'd call it, but not at all like hiking the PCT. Which is interesting to me because I always thought hiking the PCT, like you start hiking and you hike 2,600 miles, in the forest and in the desert, but the reality is you stop every so many days to get more food and to take a zero to charge up your stuff. I know purists maybe don't stay in town; they just go in town and do those two things, and then they go back to the trail. But I'm sure it is nice. The times that I've done a multi-day hike on the PCT, I did really look forward to and welcome. And we went to the malt shop, the famous malt shop in Lake Morena, and it was as good as they say. I had a burger and fries and a shake, a malt, and they were good. And then this trip, we stopped in the Pine House Lodge, and it's a French-influenced restaurant. And I got to tell you, it was fantastic. Oh, someone's calling me. Prices were really reasonable. I'm going to do a review on Yelp, and oh my gosh, the decorations for Christmas were mind-blowing. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. They had a full-size reindeer in one of the rooms that was moving around. It freaked my dog out. And then in the other room, roaring fire, it's nice and warm. And then they had this whole town with a moving little ski lift going up and down, and a carousel going around, and those little teacup things spinning around. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. So that was really cool. It was very festive. It was very Christmassy. And like I said, the prices were, when you go to those little sort of mountain towns, you expect to sort of pay more, but no, their prices were good, even for in San Diego. So, and it's a quick 1 hour drive from San Diego, maybe even a little less. It's harder if there's snow. Okay, I'll tell you that. And it's also much more crowded if there's snow because everybody goes up there from San Diego to play in the snow. And sometimes you have to have chains, and I personally do not like to take on that danger of I grew up in Chicago, so I'm going to Chicago for Christmas. I don't know if I'll see snow, but I've seen snow. Um, no, thank you. But you go. It's fun. So what else can I say? Um, this trip, I did the first 20 miles from Campo to Lake Morena in October. It was still pretty hot, and we were concerned about water. And I'm not even doing 10 miles a day. I'm doing like a mile an hour. That's what I like after about 7, 8 tops miles. So I'm gonna work on it. I'm very overweight. So I figure I got my pack weight loaded with food and water. I think I took about 2.5 liters. And my pack was, I think it was less than 27 pounds, which is, I think it was 26 pounds. I weighed it right before we left. And that's pretty good but it's still heavy. It's, I mean, maybe not for some people, but I think it didn't feel light. And then my friend kept saying, "Oh, my pack feels so much lighter. How does your pack feel?" And I was like, "It still feels I'm sorry, it still feels heavy." So I never got to that nirvana of lightness. but but I did do some stupid things. And I wouldn't do this for the PCT, but this is stupid. I brought 3 different sunscreens. I brought like 2 tubes of sunscreen, and then I brought like a stick of sunscreen, which obviously I only needed the tube. So I should weigh it just to kick myself in the ass for how much extra I brought. What else did I bring extra? Um, there's something else. There was something else I brought. And I also had to carry dog food, and a little bit extra water. Spec doesn't drink a ton of water. But she did get hungry, and she's hiked with me a lot. And she's hiked, we've hiked up to 6 miles or so, but she's never done a backpacking trip, and she did really well. So that was one thing, was the dog food. And then I had she wore one of her sweaters, and then I brought an extra coat for her, like a little Eddie Bauer parka, so cute, pink. Little puffy. And then I had her dog bowl, which was, I think that was pretty light. It's just like made out of it's fabric. It's made out of fabric with sort of a wire thing to make it into a bowl. And I did bring a little backpack for her stuff. So that weighed something extra. And then I was trying to decide if I was going to go with a quilt or not. I have a 15-degree woman's mummy hooded bag from REI, which I really like. But I was like, oh, I really love the quilt. And I bought a quilt. I got like a bargain one from Z-Packs. It's like, I think it's around $400, a 10-degree. But I just don't, especially if my dog is a service dog, she's my service dog, and it would really, I feel, help me to have her. I think I'll have to make a final decision ultimately, but she is real good. I get her in the foot box kind of, and I open it up so she gets some air. And I don't know if I'd have that same experience with the quilt. And I really like zipping all the way up and feeling that kind of secure and no drafts. And it got cold enough on the first night, Wednesday night, where we got frost on my bag, and my water bottle froze, not all the way through, but it did freeze. So I think it was in the 20s, maybe the high 20s, but it was definitely below freezing for part of the night. The other nights it was warmer. It was definitely not as cold, but it's still it's not warm. It's December. So um I love this experience of hiking in the off season. We did see, I think, four hikers coming southbound. One a woman, I talked to her and she said she left Canada in July. And then the other group, they seemed like they were in a hurry, so we didn't, want to chit chat with them. They seemed busy. And they had a big dog with them. So I'm not sure if they were locals or I wish I had it. I wish I had stopped them, but like I said, I was curious to ask about the dog and their experience with the dog. The only weird thing about having my dog was she would like start did it only happened once or twice, but she started growling. And I'm like, what's out there? And she was very protective of me when the other hikers came up. She kind of she's little, she's only 12 pounds, but she was very protective. She was barking at them and she kind of lunged at one. I can't imagine her ever biting, but I guess, some people think you never know till they do, right? Um, so I think I'm gonna send the quote back. I also had bought like a waffle. Well, I guess I might as well. I was like, well, I want to do winter backpacking. I like winter backpacking. So I was like, well, should I get a different bag or a quilt or a combination, add a layer. And I've decided, I said, well, you know what? I thought about it a lot. And I was like, well, it makes more sense to me to wear something warmer inside your bag because I think it weighs less than like I was going to get a separate sort of a lighter quilt maybe to carry where it was colder, and then I could send it back. Um, but I think having warmer clothes, like I bought some down booties to wear for sleeping and sort of insulated pants, and I can wear my puffy inside. I did wear my puffy this time. And here's the thing. If you don't ever have to get up and go to the bathroom out of your sleeping bag, like at night in your tent, you're lucky. But a lot of us do. In fact, I drink so much water, to stay hydrated. That I know one night I had to get up twice to go to the bathroom. And when it's cold, that's not fun. So if you've already got your kind of warm stuff on, it makes that a much less horrible experience. Because I lay there until I absolutely have to get up and go, and I shouldn't wait that long, but I do. So that's my theory with that. And then I was like, well, I don't know. I think I spent 50, $60 on this foam waffle thing at REI, and I think I'm gonna return it because I was gonna use it with my I have a big Agnes, inflatable, and I don't know, I don't think I need it. I was warm. In fact, at one point I was hot. Not the first night, but the second night I kind of got hot. So I took my hat off. Um, so I think if you get in your bag with, and I had gloves on, because I wanted to have my hands out because I wasn't you will sometimes want to be in your bag because it's cold, but you are not ready to go to sleep. Although I am always ready to go to sleep. And then, but later on, like I'll wake up at night and I want to check my phone or whatever. So, um, yeah, I think I'll wait. And if I go out, I'm gonna go backpacking on the PCT in January, probably, and then in February. I like to try to go once a month for about a 5-day trip or so. And if I get somewhere where I would have thought Mount Laguna would have been pretty cold, but actually it was colder. We spent the first night at Boulder Oaks Campground, and that's where it was really cold. So partly at least in Southern California, the temperature fluctuates so much depending on, well, maybe that's true everywhere, but we have so many changes in sort of the weather areas. And if you're in the mountain, it's different than if you're sort of in the desert, or if you're, in town or whatever. So I can always, if I need it, I can figure something else out. But for right now, I'm happy with my sleeping bag. It wasn't super expensive, but it wasn't cheap. And like I have a 15-degree bag, and then there's a 10-degree quilt. And I don't know, I guess I should have tried it, but I don't want to unpack it. It's like really compressed in this little, they send it to you, the Z-Pack send you the quilt in this like a little dry bag, it looks like. And I didn't want to unpack it from there. Maybe I should. I don't know. I'm gonna think about it some more. What else? We brought one thing I did this time, I did not bring a trowel for going to the bathroom. I talked to a southbounder, and he said just use the tip of your hiking pole. Guess what? Works fine. One less thing to bring. And I used to have one of the heavier ones, like that opened up, and then I bought one of those real like $40 titanium ones or whatever. And they're hard to dig with because they kind of hurt your hand because they're sharp. So the hiking pole worked great. And for me and for my dog, I did Barry Specs poop. What else? Well, anyway, so I'm going to talk about, we were supposed to go for a 5-day hike, but my friend Dave, he knows that I'm not a fast hiker. So, we kind of played it by ear. We had someone drop us off at Lake Morena, and then Saturday morning when we woke up, he's like, I don't know that once you get to Lake Morena, and we knew we wanted to have a meal there. And we thought about, well, we could, and I'll tell you what, this is one of the weird things. The Laguna Mountain Recreation Area, you can't camp there unless you're in a campground. And they're very strict about that, and the rangers are strict about that. And so you have to keep that in mind. So when you're hiking through there, you got to there's a place to camp right before you enter, and it'll tell you on Far Out. And there's also a sign that says like you're entering the Laguna Mountain Recreation, blah, blah, blah. And the most convenient place to camp is in Burnt Rancheria Campground, but they're only open seasonally, and they were closed. We walked through there to get to town. It was weird just being in like a closed campground. It's a really nice campground, by the way. I've car camped there. I was there in the summer, and it was really nice. And they don't know, they just open when, I guess, the pipes aren't going to freeze anymore, or, I don't know how they decide. But the website is not, it says they're open. They're not open. You have to call to confirm. So either you camp before you get into the recreational area, you camp in Burnt Rancheria. And I think they're $32 a night. They're kind of expensive. And I'm trying to think, I think they have a PCT area. And we did see this little area right off the trail that wasn't like, it didn't look like it was actually the campground. They weren't like, campground sites with a parking spot. So I don't know if you camp there, like what if you would have got in trouble, or if you can kind of stealth camp there. But there were some spots there. And then walking out of Burnt Rancheria, right next door is the Pine House Cafe. Fantastic. They have a French pastry chef there. I think he's the owner, Eric. and his son, I think his son works there. No, it wasn't his son. It was the son of a friend. Oh, hi, Jessica. How exciting. Hi, Jessica. I can't say something so I can hear you. Oh, you're muted. Hello? I can't hear you. You got to unmute. There's a little
Oh, I know.
There
Yeah,
you
yeah, I
go.
did see it.
There
Hi.
you go.
Oh, I thought there was like, I just saw that there was a meeting, so I just realized, oh crap, it's late. Were there lots of other people on the meeting?
No, it's always just me talking to myself, but I'm just a delightful person.
Oh, you're funny. Okay.
I record it, and I just hiked the second 20 miles this week. I was on the trail for 4 days. So I was kind of talking about that. Are you an experienced PCT hiker?
No, I'm a physical therapist that treats the PCT hikers.
Oh, I've heard of you, Jessica. That's
Yeah.
exciting. You kind of travel
Yeah.
around and meet up with people, right?
That's actually Morgan that does that. I
Oh,
I do a little bit, but I live in Big Bear Lake.
okay, great.
Yeah. And so I don't know if you realize this, but 37% of the hikers that start do not make it to Big Bear Lake because of a foot or ankle injury.
I did
And
not know
so,
that.
yeah, so that stat came from the last 3 years, not including 2020, of from the survey, from the hiker survey, Mimi. Kind
Uh-huh.
of crazy. And I started working with the hikers here in Big Bear in 2021 in like March, April of 21. And so I've been working with them for the last 3 seasons, and I just wrote and published them a book.
Awesome. What's
Yeah,
your book? Tell me about your book.
it's called Happy Feet, Happy Hike: The Ultimate Hiking Guide to Eliminate Foot and Ankle Injuries.
Okay, I will. Is it on Amazon?
Yes, but I prefer people,
Get it
so
from
this is
you?
what I'm trying to do. No, they'll so I'm trying to get more people to know about me. I created my whole own treatment method, and I've been a foot and ankle specialist forever, for like, I don't know, over 20 years. And I developed a way that people can treat themselves and prevent most of the injuries that happen.
Okay.
And it's simple, and I laid the whole thing out in my book, and my goal is to get everyone. It's not about selling it to them. I literally make $2 a book. So it's not about, no, that's like nothing, right?
Well,
So
you're not
that
going to
is,
be a millionaire.
well,
Even even if everybody bought one.
I'm not even gonna pay for how much it cost me to produce the book. Like I mean, I'm not even gonna receive that. That's not what it's about. It's about, I know that, like, to me, physical activity is what keeps me sane. Physical activity, I love to hike, I love to CrossFit. I live in the mountains, so I need to shovel snow and all the things, right? Like, I want to be able to go and have fun outside because it makes my heart happy. And that's honestly, I know that I have a special gift that I can provide to others that will let them do the same thing in any capacity that they want to. Whether that means all you crazy people that are going to hike the PCT, or whether that means you just want to do day hikes like I do, right? It's like, but without your feet, you're screwed.
No, that's your foundation. I am so happy because luckily I have not had any problems yet,
Yes.
right? But I don't know if I'm doing anything right or wrong, or and that is, I know that is the most common problem that people
Yes.
have is, I
Yes.
mean, why wouldn't it be? That's like maybe some shoulder stuff or your back from carrying the pack, but
Yes.
obviously
That's
it's
a
going to be
little.
your feet.
Yes, yes. And what's interesting, I just created a course that'll be released soon, soon, soon. Probably not till the first week in January, but it's called Hiking Strong: how to prevent and treat the 10 most common hiking injuries. And so, similar to, like, my book only does foot and ankle, and then the course goes through all the things. So I have a whole hip section, knee section, the whole, I call it pack pain,
Hmm.
the back stuff, like the upper back, the upper trap neck stuff that goes on, but
Mhm.
that's going to be released in January. But my goal is to just like get people to have the awareness that there's so much that they can do to prevent, and that I'm not a typical therapist where I don't give a lot of like stretches and exercises. That's not really what I'm about. Of course I do that, but it's quite limited. My gift is in let's take away there's two primary reasons why people injure. Um and my goal is to teach you how to identify that yourself so that you can just prevent that. You can fix the problem. And then as you're training, you're not going to be as likely to injure and then get on trail and injure. Problem is, lots of people aren't training properly, but they're training in a way that is not optimal for their body in regards to these two things that are the problem. So it's a lack of ankle motion, and it's never about stretching, and it's about their movement pattern and how they're lined up. And that always has to do with their ankle motion or the limited ankle motion. And those are the biggest things. And then there's lots of small things, but those two things, that's why I wrote the book, is I honestly feel like if people corrected those two things, there'd probably be a third of the injuries, honestly.
Okay, here's the what is your price point going to be for your course in January?
Yeah, so I haven't said it yet, and I'm going back and forth with what to do with this, right? Because the intention is not to make it available to every single human and
Right.
have it be so low. It took me a year to create it.
Right. No,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
So
have value
I
that
do.
you should get paid for.
Yeah, so I was looking at 500. And I've been told by like all of my people, like my coaches and whatnot, are like, oh hell no, because it's an 8-hour course.
Okay.
And I teach my entire method in the course. And so I'm being told to charge more like 900 and then offer like treatment sessions with it online. And I would rather do that. Like so the answer, Mimi, is I don't know.
Well, I do a lot of digital marketing, and that's kind
Okay.
of
So
my thing. So it's
yeah.
what would be interesting to me is a lot of PCT people are on a real tiny budget.
Hmm.
So I would say your target market needs to be like people like me who are smart smart enough
Yes.
to understand that you have to
Yeah.
protect this asset, right? Your
Yeah.
body. And just like you spend $1,000 on your tent and 1,000,
Yes.
$500 on this, like
Yes.
invest in this. So
Yeah.
what I would love to do is I have my nonprofit website, and I would
Uh-huh.
love to link to you, and if you could write,
Oh,
maybe you could write a guest blog post, and we could start, because you can have all that crap, and if you don't take care of your body, you're not going to do it. You're not going to finish,
no.
you know?
No, and I mean, I that's one of the things I'm sitting here and working on, and I don't I it's amazing that I just saw that you had this, and for some reason, obviously, we were supposed to talk, but
Yes.
it's what I'm working on all day today. This is my goal today, is to really I I'm working on my launch for the course, and in doing that, like, I've I would have you been following me on my regular Facebook or my YouTube channel?
I have to say, no, I have not. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so
It
no,
hasn't come up on my
no.
radar. So,
Yeah, no, it's
but
okay.
it's so hard because you can't say much on Facebook because, oh, it's self promotion. You know what I mean? Like, they're very they're very weird. Like, I have a nonprofit. I'm not making any money off it at all. I just
Right.
want to help people. And they're like,
See,
no, no self promotion.
I know it's so frustrating. That's why, like, I saw like that you obviously started your own Facebook group too, and I started my own too because I'm so sick and tired. I've been kicked off so many, and I'm like, people, you don't understand. I am trying to help you to be able to do this. Like, now you can't. And I even put on one of the groups. I had a free master class. I have what's called a foot and ankle fitness test.
Hmm.
And I created that because people don't think about their feet the way I think about their feet. And so I wanted to create something really simple to give people an idea of like, what does it mean and so I coined the phrase fit feet. And it made sense to my brain. And so it took me months, and it was a part of my book, to really look at what does that mean? Like when because I've treated, oh my gosh, way over 5,000 people, because I was in private practice where I only treated the foot and ankle for 17 years. So I
Mm-hmm.
had my numbers from that. And then I niched into my hikers because of where I live. But what I noticed over all those years, Mimi, was that when a couple of components are missing, people have foot and ankle problems. And as soon as we replace those and normalize them, they no longer have problems. And right when you see the same thing, oh, good Lord, over and over and over and over again, there's just really clear patterns. And that's what I noticed. And so I came up with this simple little test, and it's like people will just go, it's a free download. People can just go in and check it out. And the whole point is to be able to tell, well, where the heck am I? Where am I starting? Like if they can't, if they have limited motion, and I show them exactly how to measure exact motion I'm talking about.
Uh,
And then I created a tiny, like a little mini course. It's only $97 to go through the test. And I give 3 to 5 ways to resolve each of the issues in the test, like each of the components of the test, if they were having problems. And what I'm really trying to do is create a ladder of, if somebody just can't afford the $1,000, the course with
course,
the
treatment.
one-on-one and me being able to work with you,
Mm-hmm.
or just the course itself for 5 whatever, then they can go down to the little mini course, or they can buy the book for $15.
Well, we're gonna lose our time because I'm on
Oh,
the free Zoom.
oh,
But
oh,
get a hold of me because I definitely want. I haven't seen this component anywhere so
yeah,
far this
yeah,
season,
yeah.
and you need to be doing this for the AT and the CDT for all the long distance. So we need to get you in touch with that market.
Thank you, love.
So
Why don't I'll just message you my
okay,
information, and I'll give you my email and my phone number so we can keep
yeah,
in
we'll talk more.
contact.
I would
Yeah,
love
because
to get the
I would
word
love
out.
to know. I want to know how I can better serve. It's not about me. It's about, like, that's the whole thing is, yes, it's a business for me, right? It's what I do, but I have to, pay my bills too.
Right.
But that's not what it's about. I could have picked any group with foot and
Yeah.
ankle, and I love my hikers. And I want to know how I can better serve them too. And I feel like you would have probably a really good sense of like what questions I need to be answering for people and stuff like that,
Yeah.
so that I can better serve people too.
Yeah. Let's talk more.
You're awesome.
All
Thank
right.
you. So
Thanks for
nice to
jumping
talk to
on,
you.
Jessica. It was nice to
Thank
talk to a
you.
person.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.